Hello there. Come on in and have a seat. I was just putting the finishing touches on this little wooden fish, which actually reminds me of a very old story. Have you ever wondered what you would ask for if you had the chance to make a magical wish? If you could have absolutely anything in the world, what would you choose? That's the choice a poor fisherman faced. He lived with his wife in a cramped, foul-smelling hut perched right on the edge of a great sea. The fisherman was happy with his simple life, but his wife was constantly angry. She spent her days scrubbing the floors of their hut, complaining that no matter how hard she worked, the stinky smell of poverty never went away. One afternoon, while the fisherman was sitting by the calm blue water, his line pulled tight. It felt incredibly heavy, as if he'd hooked something far bigger than a normal meal. He pulled up a flounder. Unlike most fish, it was flat and wide, with a colorful shimmer. As he reached for it, the fish started talking back. It was an enchanted prince, begging to be released. The fisherman was a kind man. He didn't want to eat a talking fish, so he slipped the prince back into the water and went home to tell his wife about the miracle he'd seen. His wife didn't care about the miracle. She only cared about the missed opportunity. She told him he was a fool for letting a magic fish go for free when they were still living in such a miserable, stinking hut. She forced him back to the shore, where the water turned murky green and yellow. He called out to the fish, asking for a better place to live. When he returned, the hut was gone. In its place was a beautiful wooden cottage, clean and well-kept, with furniture and a warm fireplace. It was exactly the kind of home they had always dreamed of. But the very next morning, the wife decided it wasn't enough. She told her husband the cottage was too small, and she wanted to be a queen, living in a massive palace with servants to wait on her. As the fisherman asked the fish again, the sea turned a deep purple, and the winds began to roar. Suddenly, the cottage transformed into a towering palace with brass doors, and his wife sat on a throne with a crown on her head. The fisherman hoped she was finally happy, but even as a queen, his wife couldn't sleep. She sat awake all night, her mind already racing toward the next thing she could demand. By morning, she ordered her husband to return to the sea, which was now a dark, ugly brown. Being a queen wasn't enough. She now demanded to be the emperor. This shows the jump in power she was looking for. While a king rules a single land, an emperor sits above everyone else, commanding entire empires and all the kings within them. The fish granted the wish, and for a week she sat on a golden throne with the world at her feet. But as she watched the moon and stars from her window, she grew furious that they moved through the sky without her permission. She woke her husband and screamed her final demand. She no longer wanted ruling people. She wanted to control the universe. She wanted to be the Almighty. The fisherman begged her to stop, but he was forced back to an ocean that had turned pitch black. The waves roared and the clouds circled as he called out her terrifying wish to become the ultimate power of the unknown. She was no longer asking for things to own. She was trying to seize the power of nature itself, a line the magic fish had never been asked to cross before. The fisherman ran home as fast as he could, but the golden doors and the tall towers were gone. The servants had vanished, and the ground where the palace stood was empty. The fish had granted her wish in the most literal way possible. She asked to be the Almighty, the great unknown power that no one has ever seen. And so she became just that. Unknown and invisible to everyone, including her husband. Distraught, the fisherman ran back to the sea. The storm had suddenly vanished. The water was perfectly clear and still, and the sun was shining brightly over the waves. He called to the fish, not for a palace or a crown, but for a favor of his own. He reminded the fish that he was the one who had saved its life, and he made one final selfless wish. He just wanted his wife to be happy. While his wife had spent every wish trying to move the sun and moon, the fisherman used the only power he had to bring her back to earth. When he reached the cliff, he found his wife standing in front of their original simple hut. But the smell was gone. The house was peaceful, and for the first time, she looked at him and smiled. The woodcarver sets down his tools, looking at the little wooden fish with a smile. The fisherman and his wife never went hungry again, and they never needed another wish. They realized that you can't find happiness by chasing everything you don't have. Sometimes the most magical thing in the world is simply learning to love the life you've already built.